The marine economy is a major driver, approximately 10% of the GDP for fishing and fishing-related sales, services, industry. It's a great sporting opportunity. I think the 10% actually is low, and it doesn't take into consideration the number of people who just are on Long Island and love using the marine resources and fishing, etc. Artificial reefs have been used all across the world, all across this country, to actually provide a better marine habitat and improve a degraded habitat. Started in the mid-17th century with Japan, who started using shipwrecks, etc., to create fish habitat. South Carolina was very aggressive first in the 1830s. 1950s, some coastal states started using surplus military equipment to do it. New York, the first artificial reef was 1949 on the McAllister grounds south of Long Beach. The federal government understood that we're destroying habitat, we should be rebuilding habitat, and artificial reefs are a way to do that. The state started a program in 1993, but it's never really been fully developed and never really proceeded. Artificial reefs are about environmental sustainability, it's economic development, it's environmental protection at the same time. It is also an alternative to recycle if you use the right materials. So it's a win-win-win, and it fosters marine growth. It fosters recreation, diving, fishing, etc. Everybody agrees there's a tremendous potential for artificial reefs. We just have to make it happen, which is where I started. Get it done, get it done, get it done. Now, obviously, to build a reef takes 450 approvals from everyone and their cousin. We have obtained all those approvals, so we are ready to go forward, and we're going to undertake the largest development of artificial reefs in state history. We are focusing on 12 artificial reef sites. This year we're going to do 6 of the reef sites. We're going to create the reef sites out of salvage vessels that will be scuttled. Some ships as large as 100 feet will be scuttled. Scuttled, for those of you who haven't heard the term, I heard it yesterday. It means the process of sinking it, but making sure it's safe and all the materials are gone. They could have just said we're going to sink, but EEC has its own language, and they insisted on scuttle, so we'll say scuttle. Before we scuttle a vessel, the DEC and the U.S. Coast Guard must approve it and clear it, make sure there are no chemicals, etc. We also have a little structure ourselves that we have to figure out what to do with. It's called the Tappan Zee Bridge, which is coming down, as you know, and it's a large structure, so it begs the philosophical question, what does a bridge do in life after it has finished its life as a bridge? What is the afterlife? Is there a bridge heaven? Well, there is a bridge heaven. Bridge heaven is you spend all your life above the water serving people, and then you go to bridge heaven, which is you go below the water and you actually live. So we have a proven fact that there is an afterlife, at least for bridges. And we're going to take material from the Tappan Zee Bridge, which again has been cleaned and approved and has no toxic chemicals, etc. And we're going to use the old Tappan Zee Bridge for new reef construction. All harmful materials will be approved and removed, and that will all be approved. The reefs are different sizes and different shapes and different configurations designed for their specific location. So Smithtown, for example, is 1.5 miles off the shore. It's a small reef. It's 3 acres. It's in 38 to 40 feet of water. And we'll have 3 vessels and pieces of the Tappan Zee Bridge. Shinnecock Reef, which is 2 miles from the shore, 35 acres, 79 feet of water. That's obviously larger, more vessels, more pipes, more of the bridge. Mauritius, 2.4 miles, 14 acres, 2 barges, Tappan Zee material, etc. Fire Island is one of the largest reef sites, 744 acres, it's 2 miles out. 10 barges of Tappan Zee material, 11 vessels. So that is going to be obviously one of the larger reef sites itself. Hempstead Reef, also very large and 50 feet of water. Rockaway Reef, 400 acres. There is an art to designing a reef. It's an art to everything, but especially to DEC. There is a patch reef design that uses material but leaves sandy soil between the material. So it's not just one cluster of equipment. It creates a patchwork design because certain species need the space in between. And that's the reef design pattern which will be used for all of these reefs. It will be custom designed for the specific area when the materials are actually placed. In total, we're going to have 30 vessels, about 40,000 cubic yards of the Tappan Zee Bridge, steel pipe, jetty rock, etc. The combination of materials apparently creates the best reef environment, attracting different species. Next month we will start with 33 barges of material and 30 vessels. As quickly as you start to form the reef is as quick as the results start to bear fruit. Right away they start to colonize and create a habitat. It will then start to attract fish. The fish start to get larger, anemones, sponges, and mussels, then lobster, crabs, crustaceans, then larger marine species, dolphin, sharks, bluefish, etc. And the habitat development capacity is really extraordinary, especially with our shoreline in many of these areas, which is just barren. It is just a sandy, barren bottom. And there is no natural habitat. So this will actually create it. They will also attract black sea bass, cod, summer flounder, striped bass, which are big sport fishing attraction. You see here several anglers. The one on the top left looks familiar. You can tell by his hat. He's a state official. That's a small fish that I caught, but I caught it. Well, you didn't have to say yeah. It was not that small a fish. It's not the largest fish. But it wasn't me. I was on my brother's boat. And you know what they say, small boat, small fish. And that's what happened. But it will enhance that entire recreational capacity. And as I said, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it quickly. We start in May, actually, at the Shinnecock, June, July, August, and will be completed by the end of August. It will do half of the 12 reefs, 6 reefs. New York's always led the way. We will lead the way once again. And the proverb that says it all to me always, we did not inherit the earth from our parents. We are borrowing it from our children. And that says it all. Once you think of, this is something I'm leaving for my children, then every cell in your body says, I have to leave it better than we found it. and we are stewards for a brief period of time on this earth. And then we hand it off to the next generation. And our responsibility is to hand it off better. And we will. Thank you for having me.